Hello, everybody. Welcome to the brand new, rebranded Harvard Federal Credit Union Understanding Your Credit Report and Score. Throughout this presentation, you will see some bright new funky colors. We have recently changed our name, our logo, and everything about us, but all the things you've come to know and love about what makes us Harvard Federal, our community engagement, our community service, and who we are as great people, honestly. Joined on the webinar today with me is Kimberly Smith, and I'm going to kick it over to you to do a quick little intro.
Yes, thanks. Thanks, Ty. Understanding your credit report and score. We are happy to host this today, courtesy of the EAP, so the Employee Assistance Program. Here is our QR code. So go ahead and scan that. That's going to take you to our website, which has tons of resources, but also where to go if you're looking to make an appointment to talk to one of us. And some of the things up here on your screen that you'll see are reasons why people reach out to us. So whether you're experiencing any kind of personal well-being stressors, difficulties at the workplace, or any of those family life categories, we have resources for all of it. And if you don't see something up there and you're still struggling with something, please call us. Our quote below says "Never worry alone." From our medical director, Dr. John Herman over at MGH Psychiatry. Truly, give us a call and reach out, and we're happy to help. But again, thanks for Harvard FCU for hosting today. And I'm going to turn it back over to Ty and Terrence. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Kim. All right, so now let's meet your hosts for the day. My name is Terrence Brazil, as I mentioned earlier. I'm a communication specialist, and I'm joined with Ty Robinson, who's also a communication specialist. He will be putting links in the chat and in the background. He'll be my backup today, and he'll be watching me to make sure I say everything correctly. And honestly, I'm kind of nervous right now, but hopefully things go well. Yep. At the same time, let's go over some housekeeping tips. So for today's webinar, we have reduced all background noise. So everybody that joins in, you're automatically muted, no matter where you're joining us from, whether it is while you're having lunch, hopefully you're eating something yummy, or while you are in the car, please drive safe, or while you're at work. Please feel free to just go about your day, listen to my voice in the background, and let me teach you some credit. If you have any questions at all, we love questions. Please ask us some questions. But use the Q&A feature. The chat has been disabled. Let me know how that works now by letting me know and letting Ty know where you're joining us from. Put your little location in the Q&A feature and let us know that it's working. Let's see if I see anybody popping up in the Q&A feature. Let's see. Oh, I see somebody joining us from Boston, Mass. I see someone from Texas. Wow, that's pretty far out. Thank you. Now, also one more thing, I want to let you know that this presentation will be recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel to rewatch. Also, just to let you know that if you are looking for us on YouTube, we are now Harvard FCU. I'm going to say that a couple more times on the presentation just to reinforce it, make sure it really sticks in there. And one more thing, there is a post-workshop survey. Let us know how we did. Let us know how we can improve, and let us know if you feel like the information in here is timely, it's useful, whatever you really want to hear from us, or you want to let us know, please tell me, tell us, fill out our survey, and we'd be more than happy to incorporate your feedback into the next presentation. Next. Oh, you're gonna hear my chair squeaking a little bit. There we go. Now, a little bit about Harvard FCU. If you are new here, welcome. If you've been here before, thank you for joining us again. So, at Harvard FCU, we are not for-profit banking. What is not-for-profit banking, you ask? Because it sounds a little bit funky. It feels like banking and not-for-profit shouldn't really be in the same sentence, but here we are at Harvard, we do that. That means we are community focused. We do our best to ensure that everything we offer to you in terms of products, services, support, we are engaged by having our ears to the pavement, our ears to the community, and our ears are perked and ready to listen to you. And we are always ready to receive your feedback. And everything we do is all about our membership and how we can continue to deliver value to our membership. And that's it. We exist just for you. Whether it's product or services and or at convenience anywhere, We exist for you. And that not-for-profit part, we actually do not earn a profit from whatever funds that we do receive. We return any revenue that we do receive to your membership in the form of whether it's ATM fees that we give back to you, higher interest rates on savings accounts, maybe lower interest rates on loans, whatever you really need as a membership, we try our best to give it to you in any way, shape, or form at a reduced cost, or if free if possible. Now, let's jump into the meat and potatoes of the presentation, how credit works. And I know this topic is not the most sexy, it's not the most exciting, but it is very, very important. And honestly, I feel like personally for me, it's a topic that I was never really taught in school. It's a topic that I never really learned, like, all right, what's the best thing to do with credit? How do I really make it work for me? But as I got into my adulthood, I realized credit impacted me everywhere, whether it was housing, my job, getting a car, it was everywhere. But I didn't get proper training on like what to do with credit. Now let's see. Here's where we're gonna fix all of that. But first, let's talk about the credit score impact. Now I know I mentioned it affects us when it comes to housing and cars and whatnot, but let's look at how it directly impacts what matters the most, especially in this economy, our wallets. How does credit impact your wallet? So looking at this chart up here, you can see there's a range of scores from 500 up to 850. And now that means 500's on the lower side, no matter if you're there or not, there's no judgment. No, okay, this is bad. It's just you have some place that we can improve on. And that's a great place to start. Knowing that no matter where you are, no matter how your credit situation currently looks right now, hope is not lost, and we can work together and with our partners to get you into a score that you feel like you want to be. Now, looking at the bottom tier, about the 500s to 620s, we can see APR. And those are some pretty big numbers, 17, 16, 11%. APR is the annual percentage rate that you could expect to be tacked on to loans that you take out that are dependent on your credit worthiness. And I know that kind of was a bit of a mouthful, but let me like add some more numbers in here to clean it up a little bit. So if you are in that like not bottom tier, but the lower tier of credit scores, you actually would have an increased monthly payment for the same loan amount that other people with scores that are a little bit higher would pay less on. So what that translates to is you're paying a lot more money for the same product because you have a lower credit score. And don't get me wrong, I work for a credit union, I work for a lender, but I'm gonna say this throughout the entire presentation. I like my lender, I don't love my lender. I do not want to give my lender extra money if I don't have to. So the best way to do that is to see what I can do as a credit user and a credit consumer to increase my credit score. So that way I can go out, I can get a loan when I need it, and I can have that nice low APR, whether it's in the 7%, 4%, single digits. So I can have that nice monthly payment. I can have more cash flow. I can keep more money in my pocket. Because one of the things that I have learned from doing this and taking other presentations and learning and experiencing all of this is it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. That's the real deciding factor when it comes to being a financially well individual. And just because you're on this presentation means you are on the right track of how to become a little bit more financially well. Now, let's jump into what is credit and what is not credit, just so that way we're all on the same page. I know this might be a little bit basic for those who have been using credit for a long time, but for the sake of ensuring that I catch everybody here and we're all able to take this credit journey together, I'm going to outline what is credit, what is not. So what is credit? It is utilizing a loan now and paying for it over a period of time. What that means is for example, let's say I want to take a personal loan out because I want to do some work on my house or my apartment, or you know what, I just want to purchase some new things that I don't want to use cash for, right? I'm going to go to a lender and say, hey, lender, maybe Harvard FCU, I would like a loan for, let's say, $1,000. They'll give me that loan, or they'll check my credit worthiness. And depending on what my credit worthiness is, there'll be an interest rate associated with that. I will get my money with an interest rate, and then I make monthly payments, and that is credit. What is not credit? Credit is not using a debit card or income-based funds. Income-based funds can be where you get your paycheck from, W-2 income, whatever money that you receive on a regular monthly basis that's coming in from whether services rendered or goods and services, that is not credit. That's your actual cash. Now that that's out the way, let's talk about some of the kind of hidden stuff that it's not fully talked about when it comes to credit, and that's the credit bureaus. There are actually 3 major credit bureaus. And I'm going to bring in some stories throughout this presentation so that way I can make it a bit more fun. I don't want it to be super content heavy. There's Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, and each one of these 3 major credit bureaus collect information about you. They're kind of like Big Brother, where they're always watching to see what you're doing. They're saying, all right, I see Terrence opened up an account. Great, I'm going to write that down. They're a little creepy in that fact. But they're creepy because they are reporting out to other lenders to give them information to see what your credit worthiness is. So that way they can determine what kind of interest rate they should give you. We're going to touch right back on that credit worthiness slide that I talked about earlier. And they collect information on individual consumers, whether it's honestly just us, you, me, John Smith, Ty Robinson. Now, where do they put all this information that they've collected from you? They put it on your credit report, and they categorize it, and they make sure it all looks neat and nice. And we're going to actually go into a credit report later on, so that way you, as a consumer, can see what the lenders see, what the bureaus see about you. So that way you have some level of transparency as to what actually is going on behind the screen when it comes to curtain and all these different weird things. So with debt, they're collecting credit card debt, auto debt, education debt. And by debt, I mean looking at the amounts. They're looking at, are you making your payments on time? Looking to see what is your minimum monthly payment, and they're looking to see how long you've had it. That's a lot of information that they're collecting from you to make a decision about your potential credit worthiness for your future. And I think that's information that you as a consumer should be aware of, that they're collecting from you. They're also looking to see if you have anything that are set to collections, and collections to like kind of make sure that we're all on the same page in terms of jargon, in terms of words and phrases, is anything that is a loan that you have gone past due 30 days, 90 days, 60 days, and you haven't made a payment yet. And all of a sudden it goes to a different organization. Sometimes it's a law office or a collection agency, and then they actually sell that past due balance that you owe to somebody else to that other third party. And then that other third party says, cool, I'm gonna hunt down Joe Schmo and do my best to recoup losses. And it really, really damages your credit report because it shows up as you have not paid this person for well over 90 days. And that can and will potentially tank your score because it damages how likely you are to repay when it comes to new debt. One more thing when it comes to payment history, then I'm going to move over to where you can actually get your own credit report. Payment history is one of the main key factors of how you can impact and potentially improve your credit report and your credit score as well. And we're going to touch into that a little bit later, but a little bit teaser. I see some questions in the Q&A. Let me see what we got here. Yes, this presentation is going to be recorded and available afterwards. Let's keep going. Now, free credit report. There's a lot of different websites. If you just Google free credit report, you're going to get so many different things that pop up in Google, whatever your browser is. Don't trust them. Don't look at them. They're all sponsored. Go to annualcreditreport.com. That is the only free place to get your credit report. And thank you, Ty, for putting that link in the chat. I appreciate you so much.
Thanks, you. Real quick, Terrence, sorry to interrupt, but I think I don't know. It looks like to me I can only send links to the hosts and panelists right now, so I'm not sure everyone's getting it. The normal option I have to send it to everyone is not appearing for me. I don't know if it was a Zoom update or something weird.
No problem at all. I can copy, paste, and send to, oh, can I do that? Oh, I actually cannot copy paste in Zoom. Okay.
Well, I think no matter what, we can, when we send a post-webinar email, which we always do, we can include all the links. But I don't know what's going on with Zoom today, but it seems we are currently unable to.
Here, I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna make you co-host,
Okay.
and let me see if you now have the functionality to do that. Thank you very much. Stay
Yes.
with us.
Oh, yeah, I can do it now. Thank you.
No problem.
There, everyone should now be able to see the link, the correct link.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Terrence. All right.
Beautiful. Look at that. Ties in the background, making things happen. Love that. Now, so that link should now be in the chat for annualcreditreport.com, where that again is the only place for you to check your credit report. And you can actually get a copy from each of the credit bureaus, whether it is Experian, TransUnion, or Equifax. My recommendation personally is if this is your first time doing it, I would pull all three. Pull all three at once, and just for the sake of doing it, compare and contrast, see what reports show up on Experian, see what lines of credit or like loans that you have show up on TransUnion, see what's there, make sure all the payment history is correct. And I'm gonna warn you, when you first get in there, be ready to download the PDF, and it's a large PDF file. I wouldn't do it on your phone because it's gonna take up a lot of space. I would actually, if you can, sit down at your PC, at a laptop or whatnot, and download it so that way you have it, and save it so that way you can have it for your records, because you want to set this up as a habit so that way you are in the process of monitoring it. There's a few key reasons why you want to be actively aware of what is showing up on your credit report. And one of the main ones, honestly, is scams and fraud, especially right now in the current climate with cyber fraud, cybersecurity. People are being hacked right now, identity theft. The last thing you want is for someone to stumble upon a piece of mail or your social security number or something that you think is not going to be able to like get out there, but it does. And someone opens up a line of credit in your name and maxes out a credit card. They don't make payments. All of a sudden, your credit score is going down. You're not sure why. You're doing everything right. You're making payments on time, but you weren't aware of your credit report. I don't want to scare anybody, but that is a very real consideration and a very real item to be aware of. Now, let's jump into a sample credit report. Now, this is an older one from, I think, 2017. And I know this is kind of like, it might be outdated, but they still kind of look like this. The government does not update. They're still very old. So looking at, I'm going to use my cursor right here. Looking at our open date, we see this from 2003, credit limit of 5,500, high balance, status state, all these different things. You feel like, what do I look at? What is this? What do I really care about? This is what you care about. You care about this right here. All these payment statuses, these account open in what condition it's in, and the payment history. You want to make sure it's current or green, where it says see, something that lets you know things are going well as far as your payments being hit and your payments are actually being recorded on time and properly. One last thing you also want to be aware of is this delinquency counter right here. You want to see, have you gone 30 days late, 60 days late, 90 plus days, and then derogatory. Once you get into derogatory, that's when things start to get into collections, and that's when things start to really, really impact your score. Don't get me wrong, all of these will impact your score, but this right here, this will really impact your score. And honestly, I'm not going to go too deep into this for the sake of time, because we do have other credit reports. But this is, if you take anything away from this, take into consideration what it means to have a good payment status. You want to see that your account condition is open, all things are current, and nothing in derogatory. Oh, also, and the account terms is still revolving. This is very good to know. Next up, we have another sample credit report. This is a not so positive credit report where this member unfortunately had something happen that I talked about earlier, where they had this line open. It's for $310, so it was opened by Comcast and it was opened by a family member. And this went unpaid for quite some time. They actually went 30, 60, 90 derogatory. And what's unfortunate is they didn't know about it. They just didn't know. There was no way, they never checked their credit report. They had no idea that it was on there, but they came in asking for a loan and they were denied. They're like, well, what happened? So we pulled their credit report and showed them, hey, you have a past due balance of $310. What's wild is this is a relatively small amount. This is something that could have been taken care of monthly payments within, I want to say, either 1 month or at least 2 to 3 months if you're spreading it out. And unfortunately, because they weren't aware of this, it impacted them pretty harshly. So this is one of the main key factors of why you should be aware of your credit report. You don't know what stuff like this is going to pop up. And the sooner you become aware of it, the easier it is to get ahead of it. And I know nobody wants to open up a credit report and see a bill and say, all right, I got to pay this now. That's a lot. But I want to communicate the impact of awareness and being mindful of what is going on in your financial situation. So that way you can take a proactive approach instead of a reactive approach. Now, as we're talking about the nitty-gritty of credit report timing and whatnot, it's not fun stuff. I'm not gonna lie, it's not the most clear, but it's good information for you to know. Now, let's look at some of the different credit report timings where credit inquiries will stay on your report for 2 years. What exactly is your credit inquiry, you might ask? It is whenever you go out to a lender, or maybe you fill out a form online, or a store credit card, or honestly, whenever you're like, hey, I want to sign up for this, like a TJX card or a Macy's card, and they say, hey, please fill out this form. It'll take 10 seconds. We're going to do a quick pull on your credit. We're putting your social security number. That is a credit inquiry. That stays on your report for 2 years. Doesn't have the biggest impact on your credit score, but it does have an impact. Next up is anything in collections, late or missed payments, civil judgments. So right here, this late or missed payments, this right is your payment history. This stays on your credit report for 7 years. And I'm not saying it's always going to have an impact or an equal impact, as opposed to, like, for example, if it happens, let's say June 2024, and then June 2020, I'm not June, July 2024, your score drops significantly due to it, and then wait a year, June 2025, it may not have that same level of impact. It's gonna, as time passes, the impact is going to decrease. Doesn't mean it's going to disappear. That's a key crucial point. It may not disappear for 7 years, but as time passes, the impact of these things will slowly decrease over time. Collection accounts, this will hurt you. My God, this is gonna hurt you. It's not something to be ashamed about. It's not something to feel like, oh no, this has happened to me, my credit's ruined. It's not. Time passes. The same way I think I heard one time, you get like all of your skin cells and all of the cells in your body after 7 years completely like renew, and you're like a whole new person and everything changes. Same thing for your credit. After 7 years, you're a new person. I like to look at it things that way. How do you want to make changes now so that way in 7 years you have a whole new credit score? And honestly, I know I say 7 years, it's not going to take that long. If you are doing active things to make active changes, you can make changes pretty quickly. I'm not going to describe a time. I'm not going to say a specific timeline. Every person's situation is different, but it's possible, and it's very possible. And honestly, I think, oh, and one more thing, I want to talk about some of the positive stuff actually, so I can have a balanced presentation. Open accounts in good standing stay on your credit report indefinitely. If you have an account like an old credit card that you have been paying for X amount of years, it will stay there for as long as it is still positively impacting you. I see some questions coming in. Do you think credit score apps like Credit Sesame and Credit Karma are as reliable as accurate credit reports throughout the year? So, credit score apps like Credit Sesame, Credit Karma, they do a soft pull. A soft pull does not impact your credit score like a hard pull, but it will also not be as reliable in terms of the information. In my experience, what I've seen is when you might have your credit score fall in the same range, but in the number itself might be a little bit different. And I'll go into detail about what credit score ranges are a little bit later. Next question, can I check my annual credit report and apply for a credit card within the same year or 6 months? Will it affect me anyway? So you can check your credit report, and it's not going to impact your credit score at all. You can check your credit report and then apply for a credit card the next day, and it'll be completely fine. To be honest with you, if anything, it'll just help you make an informed decision when it comes to applying for that credit card. So you can very much check your credit report. There'll be no impact. It will not hurt you negatively. It will only help you in terms of informing you of where you are in terms of your credit now. And I will say, checking your credit score as a hard pull versus a soft pull, soft pulls have no impact. Hard pulls do have impact. Checking your credit report, no impact. That is for you to do. That is your report. You have access to it. Do that. Now, if you see any errors on your credit report, please visit consumer.ftc.gov for sample letters. You want to contact the credit bureau, and you must do this in writing, and the bureaus have 30 days to begin their investigation. Now, what happens when you contact the credit bureau? What's going to happen is they're going to say, oh, okay, cool. We see that you see that you reported something as an error. What we're going to do is take it off your credit report for the time being as the investigation is going on, because if it is an error, it should no longer impact you. But if it is correct, and well, hold on, before I get there, if the investigation, what is going to happen, the credit bureaus are going to go off to the lender and say, hey, Ty had told me, let's say I'm Experian, right? And Ty finds a dispute on his credit report. Ty sends a letter to me. I say, cool, I'm sorry. I'm going to take off whatever the item in dispute is. I'm going to reach out to the lender. Let's say in this case, the lender is Harvard FCU. I'm going to say, hey, Harvard FCU, Ty told me that line of credit that you reported that he has is not correct. What's going on here? Then the lender and the credit bureau, Experian, will go back and forth and say, they'll say, hey, Harvard FCU, I got data here and whatnot. And if everything checks out and if everything is accurate, that disputed line will show back up on your credit report, and everything that it had to do with it will be there. That is no longer disputable. That is now there. And you want to contact your lender to make sure on your part, not just the credit bureau's part, your part, to make sure they have a record of all your payments. Because to be honest, we're all human. Yes, everything is automated now. Things are AI and whatnot, but human error did not disappear. It still exists, and it's best to keep a record of all of your payments on a personal level to ensure that everything is being paid accordingly, and especially those private loans. Now, what to do if your information is compromised? There is two options for you. There's a credit freeze and a credit alert. Or a fraud alert. With a fraud alert, this is when you notify businesses to let them know that something has happened, whether it is your identity being stolen, somebody accessed your account that you did not give authorization to access, or a debit card or credit card being lost or stolen. Fraud happens in many different ways right now. So you can go to whoever issued the card and say, hey, please put a password on my account. Please ensure you ask me extra security questions. Make it harder for whoever tries to impersonate me to actually get access to my stuff. Now, that is not permanent, but it can last up to 1 year. There's a credit freeze as a second layer or a more permanent solution to protect yourself. The credit freeze restricts access to your credit report, and it makes it impossible to open new credit lines without your explicit permission and your say-so. And in my opinion, everybody should have a credit freeze automatically. That way, no matter what happens, nobody's getting access to your account. And let's say, you know what, I know what you're thinking. What if my credit's frozen and I want to open up a new line of credit? What do? You have the power to unfreeze your credit in two different ways. You can do a window where it is unfrozen for a certain time frame, whether it's 7 days or 3 days, and you let the lender know, hey, I've unfrozen my credit from Monday through Friday. Please go in, pull my credit, and then it'll automatically refreeze. Or you can set up where you can just turn it off when you no longer want it. But in my opinion, personal opinion, I say keep it on. Now, managing your credit score. We talked a lot about a lot of scary stuff and like credit and fraud and whatnot. I don't want to do all things scary. I want to put some real tools in your hand on how to make an actual impact into managing your credit score. Now, one of the main ways to do that is by education. You are already taking the first step. You are here on this webinar. You are learning something. Kudos to you. High five. Next up, if you want to take this a step further, we offer a free educational portal by GreenPath, so that way you can learn different financial wellness courses. Ty, please put that link in the chat. Oh, he's already killing it. Good job, Ty. Thank you. And these courses include making the most of your money, credit tools, paying on your credit card, and you can visit us or visit them at harvardfcu.org/greenpath. GreenPath, please, 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 if you take anything away from this presentation, you can ignore me, you can tune me out, you can be like, I don't care, I don't know this guy, Harvard FCU, not my business. Take GreenPath away from this. GreenPath is a partner that we use, and they offer everything in terms of helping you with budgeting, housing counseling, financial counseling. If you just want to talk to somebody and say, I don't know what I'm doing financially, please help me, they are the people to call. They are accredited credit counselors. They will do everything in their power to help you, to educate you, and they'll call you. Be like, hey, how's it going? They'll pull your credit report for you and do a soft pull and build a budget for you. I'm going to take a quick water break, actually, if you don't mind. Give me a second. They will pull your credit report for you and build a budget and talk with you to make sure that your new spending plan works for you. GreenPath, phenomenal. Now, what is a credit score? Credit scores are measured of your consumer credit risk for lenders. What does that mean? Honestly, to be honest, what does that mean to the normal person? It means when you go out for a loan, lenders don't know you from A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z. So in terms of how they want to rate you and kind of who you are, they go by what the credit bureaus assign as far as a credit score. There's different ranges from poor, fair, average, above average, and excellent. I mentioned this earlier when it comes to Credit Sesame and Credit Karma. Now, when lenders do a hard pull, they will get a very accurate number of your credit score. Credit Karma will do a soft pull, and they will also get a number, but it might fall into one of these ranges. It may not be exactly what your lender sees, but you could fall in poor, fair, above average, and excellent. So as far as, let's say I am in the market for a car loan and I pull my credit score and Credit Karma says, hey, you're at 675, right? Above average. I'm like, all right, cool. And then I go to the lender and they say, actually, you're 670 or you are a 680. I'm like, all right, cool. Credit Karma wasn't exact and the lender got a different number, but I'm still kind of in the same ballpark. That's been my personal experience with it. Now, there are two different types of credit scores. There is the FICO score, which here's the main circle. This is the magic formula that describes what it is to be a credit score and how all that information that's on your credit report comes together to make that number. Now, amounts owed, 30%. This is your balance of how much outstanding credit you have, how much do you owe to all these different people, all this accumulated together. And as long as you keep that balance owed within 30% of your credit utilization limit, or not limit, but the ratio, you're in a good position. Now, what does that mean realistically? Now, let's say I have one credit card to my name and it's $1,000 limit. I don't want to use more than $300 because once I cross over that threshold of $300 at 30% utilization ratio, I now I'm not in bad territory, but I'm now in kind of like yellowish flaggish territory, if you want to like use by flag territories. And then once I get to like 50, 60, 80%, I'm now red flaggish territory of I'm using a lot of available credit, and it's not bad, but it does impact how it affects your credit score. Like maybe you're using a lot, what's going on? Nobody knows what's going on, they just know the numbers. This impacts 30%. Payment history is 35%. This is if you're making your payment on time on a regular basis. Are you making it in full? What are you doing exactly? As long as you're making a payment in full and you keep your balance below that 30% utilization ratio, that's 65% of your credit score. That's a huge portion. And that's a lot of power that's in your control to just make sure that things are moving in a direction that you want. Next up, there's new credit, where this is going to be your hard or your hard inquiries as far as like, all right, are you opening new lines on a regular basis? And in my experience, I've seen this hit my credit score 1, 2, maybe 3 points max, and then like, yeah, no big deal. Don't get me wrong, this is my personal experience. It will depend on your unique situation, where if you have one credit card and then you open a second one, that's going to be a pretty big impact because there's not a lot of like different things going on. But if you have a beefy credit file, a new credit inquiry may not impact you as somebody who has kind of a thinner credit file. Now, and length of credit history. This is how long you've had credit for. There are people who, well, for example, when you're brand fresh new to credit, you're 18 years old, you have no credit history because you're brand new in terms of your baby in terms of the credit bureaus. So you're gonna have this is not going to be the most friendly factor when it comes to positively impacting credit score. As time goes on, this will begin to positively impact you. So if you've had that credit card for 10, 20, 30 years into your oldest line, that's a good length of credit history. And that means that you've been stable, you've developed a good relationship with credit, and things are good. And the last up is credit mix at 10%. This is going to be your revolving credit lines, your different types of loans. And to make that really, really, really concrete and practical, do you have a mortgage? Do you have a car payment? Do you have a credit card? Do you have a store card? All these different things are different types of credit. As far as, for example, the auto loan, it's an installment line. What that means is eventually this line will end and you will pay it off. It doesn't continue forever, as opposed to a credit card, which is a revolving line. This will and potentially exist for quite some time and will exist until you don't exist, to put it in a very like, not to put it in that way, but that's kind of what it means. And also with the mortgage, with mortgages, they will eventually end, but in our current economy, things kind of refinance. But the main difference is with an installment loan, there is a defined payment and defined end period. With a revolving loan, there is no defined end period, and the payments kind of depend on what your use of that credit card is. It's also the Vantage score, which is another credit card scoring entity. This is all of the same things will kind of solidify when it comes to FICO versus Vantage, where payment history is going to be your biggest influencer of making an impact on your credit score, whether it's positive or negative. Same thing with age and type of credit and percentage of credit used. And I'm gonna keep kind of going from there. Now, sample credit scores. Now, this is an example of a lower credit score, 488. No judgment if anybody identifies with this or at all, because this just means there's room to grow. And I think room for growth is a positive thing. And you can see some of the different factors here: serious delinquency, number of accounts with delinquency, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go too deep into this because I feel like this is kind of in the weeds as far as what a simple credit score does. But the main takeaway is that you can see the score and you can see why the score exists and what the descriptions are. Next up, we have someone who's a bit more middle of the road, where you have a 656. And this has still some negative score factor descriptions, but what I want to also mention, some of these descriptions don't go away over time. They kind of just like stay there. Because we can see here on the next, this is a 748, a bit on the higher side, it'll still have something negative: too few accounts currently paid as agreed, a ratio balance to limit. So I say all this to say, no matter where you are as far as your credit score, these score factor descriptions may not always be completely accurate, but they do provide some insight as to why your score is what it is. Now, options to improve your credit score. There are secured versus unsecured credit cards. These can be helpful depending on the situation. There are special loans that some institutions have, whether it's a credit union or a bank. You can ask and say, hey, I'm looking to rebuild my credit. Is there anything that you can offer me to help? And one more plug for Green Path: one-on-one financial counseling, whether it's you're talking to somebody, you're talking to me, you're attending a webinar, you're doing something, just learning and getting yourself armed with knowledge will help improve your credit score. Now, let's jump into choosing a credit card. Temp check, how's everybody doing? I'm gonna check the Q&A. Experian.com, a good resource. Yes, it is. It is a great resource. Delayed question. There is no impact if you only do a hard inquiry once each year on your, there is no impact if you only do a hard inquiry once each calendar year, correct? Each hard inquiry does have a hard impact. Even if you do it once per year, twice per year, each hard inquiry just as itself, as it exists, does impact your credit score. If you pull your credit report, there is no impact. But when you go to a lender and you say, hey, I would like a loan, and they tell you, I'm going to pull your credit, that is a hard inquiry that does have an impact. Now, this is a lot of text. This is a busy slide. I'm well aware of it, and I'm going to highlight just a few key features here. This is when it comes to choosing a credit card. The APR is something you want to be well aware of when it comes to choosing a credit card. And also that first line here, 0% intro APR for the first 12 billing cycles from date of account opening. What does this mean? This means for the first year that you get that credit card, you can use that credit card willy-nilly, and you will not have interest rate on it. Any interest, no interest will accrue. And they do this on purpose so that way you get very used to using a credit card with no interest. And then after that, after those 12 months, after that first year fund, your APR will be either 11.74% or 17.99% based on your credit worthiness. This is where that credit card credit score comes into play. Because if you, whatever balance you have at the end of that 12 months, whatever you've been doing, and all of a sudden you get hit with that big interest rate, it's gonna hurt. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's gonna hurt. And it's something to be mindful of. And I'm not gonna lie, at the same time, 17.99%, it's on the low side. Now I'm seeing 29%, 30%. It's quite the impact, and that's quite the jump. And I would, whenever you get those, this is called a Schumer box. Whenever you get any kind of like credit card options or credit card applications or anything in the mail saying, hey, please fill out our card, open that big packet of information look for APR, see what the intro APR is, and do a quick read. You don't have to read everything, but look for the bulleted stuff. See what stands out to you. And you know what? Take it. Take it and just sit down for 5 minutes, whether you're cooking or you're sitting in the car. I mean, I'm not driving, hopefully. But whenever you're bored and you feel like I just want to actually read it before bed. Take it, read it before bed. It's gonna put you to sleep. At least you know, right? One more thing to be aware of is fees. Look at if there's any annual fees, transaction fees, card placement fees, merchant card fee. These are things to be aware of as well. Sometimes your credit cards for cash advances, there are fees where if you are in a situation that you do not have your debit card and you need cash and you don't have your credit card, sometimes there is a fee to pull out cash and you could also potentially pay interest on that cash as well. Now, if you want to be removed from credit card offers, Ty will put that link in the chat. Opt out prescreen.com. I've done this. It's been great. Sometimes I still get some, but not as much as I used to before. Now, big thing here. One more time. Big plug for GreenPath for free financial counseling. Again, I'm going to say this one more time, probably 6 more times. If you take anything away from this, visit GreenPath. We also offer a Smart Rewards savings account. This is a account that has no fees, 100% no fees, and 4% APY. That's a yield. You actually earn 4% on your savings account. So if you're in the market for a savings account, again, we're not salesy here. We're just trying to let you know how we could possibly put some more money back in your pocket. We also have a blog that we update 3 times per week, very frequently. Visit our blog at blog.harvard.fcu.org, and we will be more than happy to update it, keep you financially well. And if you honestly just want some reading, maybe you're on the T or something, you're on your commute in, and you want to be like, all right, how do I like make the use of my time? Maybe you don't want to scroll on Instagram, you don't want to doom scroll on our blog. You'll learn something. Any questions? I'm gonna check the chat right now. I think I've done a good job of keeping them balanced. Oh, I see one question right here. What about when they tell you that you are pre-approved for a credit card and you accept that offer? Does it affect your credit score? So this is something that I have a personal gripe with, where when you are pre-approved, yes, that means that for example, I'm gonna bring up Capital One. Please, if anybody's from Capital One here, don't sue them, don't sue me. I have Capital One. They send me offers all the time saying I'm pre-approved. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm automatically approved for that card. It means that they have done a soft pull by themselves, got information, and said, hey, based on what we see, we think you be approved for this card. And then I accept the offer, and I find out they pull my credit afterwards, and sometimes it does go through, sometimes it doesn't. It does affect your credit score, but like I said before, it's not going to be the biggest impact, but it will have an impact. In my experience, it's been anywhere from 3 to 5 points at the max, but that's also me personally. Everyone's situation is going to be different. I see one more account. Who can open an account with Harvard FCU? Great question. Love that. I don't know if you're a plug, but you're awesome. Anyone. Now that we went through our rebrand, now that we are now Harvard FCU, we are federally chartered. That means you can join, and no matter how you're affiliated with us, we have a path for membership for you. And especially as an MGB employee, we're right in your building, actually. We're in Bullfinch, right near Coffee Central. You can walk down, you can go in and say, hey, I want to open an account. Same day, you leave an account with us. Quick and easy. Any other questions? I think I'm doing pretty good on time. I have questions. Not bad. All right. I'm gonna move on to the disclaimer, my favorite part. Don't sue me. I am just here as a guy. This has been financial advice only for educational purposes only. I am not your financial advisor, nor am I a licensed financial advisor. We do have licensed financial advisors on staff. His name is Raj, and he's very nice. If you want any specific questions and you want any specific advice as far as legal, tax, or investment advice, talk to Raj. He can point you in the right direction. This is only, all these numbers have been my personal experiences, fully educational in nature, and I hope that you have learned something throughout this presentation. And also, let's keep in touch. Please email us at harvardfcu.org if you want to learn anything, or if you want to just let us know how we did, and we'll be more than happy to connect with you and have a great time. But in the meantime, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank
We
you.
have one more question on there, Terrence, if you want to just take a
Oh.
stab.
What about adult child of an MGB employee? Yeah, adult child, yeah, go for it. Oh, when you join, your membership extends to your entire family as well. So as an MGB employee, once you join, from your kids, adult child, young child, middle child, they can join. Anyone who is an elder in your family, grandparent, great-great-grandparents, your membership fully opens up your entire family and all of those affiliated with you to membership as well. Sorry, did you say hard inquiry once a year, no impact? No. Hard inquiry has an impact. It doesn't matter the frequency. A hard inquiry has an impact. Soft inquiries do not have an impact. Your credit report does not have an impact. Hard inquiries have an impact. Do they assist with home mortgage loans? Yes, we do. We also have home mortgage loans here at Harvard FCU, and GreenPath does offer housing assistance in terms of counseling and HUD stuff and whatnot. If you have any questions for if anybody's going through a tough time with their house or like looking, not to foreclose, but foreclosure assistance, that's what I'm looking for. They do offer help with that as well. Okay.
Good job, Terrence.
And that's everybody. Thank you everybody for joining us. I'm gonna end the webinar. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you've learned something and have fun.